Okay, hello everyone. My name is James Hogan. I'm your OptionVue product consultant. We're going to get started with this presentation here. I'm going to talk about some of the new features in OptionVue. I'm going to start off with just getting started with OptionVue, how you would set up your options chain, some of the default settings that I recommend, and then we'll go into, right away how you would analyze a trade and maybe put some positions you already have on to analyze them with OptionVue. Um, I'm going to now share my desktop with you so you can see my option view. And you should now be seeing my option view screen. Okay. This is where you're going to start off with in option view. You come to the quotes display here, and it's going to have some predefined uh, symbols in it here for the underlines. Um, what you can do to insert a new symbol is simply highlight, left click on any of the fields there and hit insert on your keyboard. Insert again will keep entering new fields in there, and then you can put in a symbol if you want to, and it'll pop up. The delete key on the keyboard gets rid of them the same way as the insert button enters a new one here. Another way to do that, some people might be running an emulator with a Mac. The way to do it would go to edit up here at the top, and you would say delete row or insert row or column. Insert in a row will do that. If you want to change one of the parameters up here, you can right click on it, and it gives you a list of parameters here to change it to. Okay. And also, if you wanted a new column here, you could go to insert column. Okay. And then um, same way as you would do it on the keyboard if you want to delete that as well. Okay. Um, those are the parameters you have for the column headings. You just right click and you can change these here, whatever you prefer to see. You can also create groups here. Okay, this is a group. This is a group heading here. And the only thing you need to do here to create a group is to type in the pound sign and then the name of that group. Whatever you want that group to be titled, that's how you would do it. Okay. This green button here, what this does, this will freeze the quotes. Basically suspend the real-time quotes that are coming in right now. Okay, so now these are all green, so you have real time coming in here. For instance, if you wanted to do some analysis, do some trade finder results or something like that, you might want to suspend the quotes and just work with the current ones you have now. That's how you would do that. And then simply left clicking on that again will now bring in the real time quotes again. Okay. Um, the other thing that you're going to want to do right off the bat when you get option view is go to view at the top here. And we're going to go to default models to start off with. Okay, with the default models here, the most important thing here in the center is slippage. It comes as a default set to hit bid ask, which means you're going to be modeling getting the worst possible fills. You can change to none if you want just pure analysis, but I like to have mine set to moderate. It's more accurate in that you're going to get a fill in between the bid and the ask there. Okay. If you want commissions included in your modeling, this is where you would include uh, this here as well, and that's defaulted. Okay, but this default models section up here under view, this is going to tell you how we're calculating market price. You can change that. We use a smoothed average there. Okay, for futures market price, the same thing. Okay, and this is also where OptionVue uses a true delta gamma model. A lot of the other platforms that you come across will be using a standard model. Okay, so we can hit OK out of here. We're going to go to View at the top again, and this time we're going to go to Default Auto Strike. And this is where you're going to set up if you want to open an options chain. If you have a certain range, I have to default to display all strikes. And also if you want to see more months out there, which might be something you want to do, especially if you're including weeklies down at the bottom here. If you're interested in looking at weeklies, there's a lot of weeklies that will populate if you're looking at an Apple chain, for instance, or anything that's trading the weeklies really, because the weeklies are going to take up a lot of that front kind of space that's allowed for the showing the different contracts that are available. So you could always change this going up to 12. If you open up a matrix using Apple and you have 12 contracts showing up here, you're going to be drawing in a lot of symbols. So um, 5 to 7 is usually what I would recommend. And you can always define these later. I'll show you how to do that. And then this is default also usually to small and moderate. You can change these to large. I like to change them to large. That way when I open up an options chain in a matrix, you can see a large in the money and out of the money range for the puts and the calls. And basically what OptionVue is doing is every time you open it, it's looking for where the at the money is, and it's going to make a large range up and down away from the at the money, in the money and out of the money for both the puts and the calls. Okay. The next thing we're going to look at under view, and the last one here, is the default matrix format. And this is important when you're initially setting up OptionVue. I usually recommend doing a 1 by 5 on the cell size. And just, you can set this up for a default to begin with, and then you can come back in here and you'll know how to change it going forward. But I set up a 1 by 5, and the main reason is because you want to have a trade in an existing position. Okay, trade is for analysis, and you'll always be entering trades in to the trade field first. You'll then be moving them over if it is an actual position you want to track or you do have a position on it over to the existing position field, and I'll show you how to do that. And that's important because that's how you're going to be back testing, tracking positions in real time that you have on. And then possibly if you have existing positions on and you want to analyze an adjustment, these two fields are very important for that. Okay, so once you did this, you would set default number 1. Okay. Now you could set up a default number 2, and I will show you what mine is. I'm going to get my default number 2 by clicking on this one. And I can quickly switch when I'm in an option chain from looking at my default 1 to my default 2. And I like to look at this so I can quickly see what the last was, what the bid, what the ask, what the volume, and what the open interest is. And that's going to help you because, if you're considering, entering a trade or want to see what's really going on with all the options in that chain, where the most open interest and volume is at. This is a really quick way to be able to switch between the two views to see a lot of information quickly. Okay, so then you can set up a third. I really don't have a third set up, but you could if you wanted to. Okay, the actuals and the futures tab. This is if you're long an underlying future contract or an equity. This is going to show you where the last high, what the change is, what the low is, and if you have a trade in existing position, very similar to my default number 1 here, where if I trade an existing position, you can set those up for the underlines as well. So this is a good initial setup. You can always go back and customize it here down the road if you want to, and you go to View again, and this default models, default auto strike, and default matrix format. Okay. Those are your main settings. Another area you can go to for your settings is you can go to File and then go to Preferences. Okay. Down here, you can look at, if you like to look at your, and we'll get into this in a second, but this is where you're going to go to change if you want to see the dates in your graphic analysis lines, or if you want to see a T plus number, which means T plus 0 would be today, T plus 2 would be 2 days from now. This is where you would go to change this. Okay, and then you can come in here and change the fonts as well. Okay, I'll show you how this works. I always recommend going to the largest font size. That way when you're looking at graphic analysis, it's going to show you larger numbers for you to see easier. And then this is another format you can look at too. Okay, Len Yates, our president here, named this Crispy. And watch when I do this, you're going to see it's going to be a little bit more of a fine type of a font for you to look at here. Okay, it's probably a little bit harder to read for anybody when I'm doing a presentation here. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to go to fonts and I'm going to go back to my original here, which will be more bold. Okay. Okay. After we've done those settings there, just as a reference, if you ever have OptionVue, you want to go to our help area here. We have a link. This will take you right to the tutorial videos. Okay. It's kind of a good way to do this. I'll bring this up here. you just click on that help. It goes to our tutorial videos that are right here. Okay, these are basic. They're very relatively short. They're probably 10 to 15 minutes long. Takes you through each of the modules relatively quickly there. Okay. Another place to go to if you're just on our OptionVue website is to go to support underneath the phone number here. Okay. These are those tutorial videos it just took you to. These are more in-depth, longer videos, usually half an hour to 45 minutes on particular modules like Trade Finder or Portfolio Manager, things like that. These are our guides. Okay. You can print these PDFs off if you want to. Okay. So under Support tab, this is a great resource from our website there. So I just wanted to briefly touch on that for you. That's where you go to help right here at the top. Okay, so let's take a look a little further at the quotes display here. Okay. Here you have a series of O's, F, S's. This means if you have an S here, you're long the stock. Okay, and O would mean you have an option position on, and F would mean you have a futures position on. Okay, what you could do then, if it's bold, what it means is that you're in that actual account. Okay, that means I can click on this and I can be able to see my position in the SPY. And I just double clicked on that SPY right there to pull up a matrix. Okay, and it's pulling up some existing positions, some trades I probably put in my test account when I was speaking to someone before. Okay, but that's how you'll be able to tell what account you're in. Okay, I'm going to close that matrix. You can also hover over this as well. Now I'm just going to hover over here, and now this is showing me that it's in the hedge finder account. Okay, I can click on this, and these are all my different accounts that I have set up in OptionVue. You can have an unlimited number of accounts set up, and this is you can quickly switch between them this way as well. So you can switch to the account by going into one of these, or you can actually jump to the account that this is in by right-clicking on the symbol and then jumping over here. Clicking on that, you'll notice I quickly jump to that hedge finder test there account. Okay. When you first get OptionVue, it's going to say sample across the top here. That doesn't mean you have a sample version of OptionVue, even though you may have OptionVue but not created a new account. But OptionVue always starts you out with a sample account. Okay, even if you have a trial, it's going to say sample there. You can click on info. Okay, and this is kind of your starting point. This basically is your starting point for beginning an account. Okay, what you would do is you would create new account. Click on this here where it says new account. Okay, and you create a new account name. And this is probably when you looked at my accounts, I had a number of test accounts or demo accounts. But this is demo account, whatever, and sign. And you wouldn't make it a track data account unless you have an account with track data. But making it a super account, what that does is it allows you to have, say I have, 4 of my accounts in OptionVue, and tracking maybe with different brokers. I actually got a question on this today. Maybe you want to be able to look at all those different accounts and combine them together to see what your whole entire portfolio looks like, what your whole entire portfolio theta is, or your entire portfolio, um, delta is, or maybe you just want to find a hedge based on your entire portfolio combined. You can do that by making it a super account. You won't be able to make any adjustments or changes in the super account because it's just taking a snapshot of those other accounts, combining them to put all the numbers together for you. Okay, so I wouldn't check off on any of those if I'm just starting off a simple back testing account. I would click OK. When do you want to start this account? You can start it today if you want to just start out and do some monitoring of your positions as of today. You can go back to anywhere, going back any half an hour, any day back to January 2001. Okay, so for instance, I could type in 95, go back to 2006 and say I wanted to start this account with 15,000. Okay, so basically what this is going to do is going to open up a new account view on January 25th, 2006. It's going to say that you had an initial deposit of 15,000, 150,000, 50,000. Hit OK, and my new account is now started. Okay, and I'm in that account. Now that I'm in my account, I might want to set up my commissions. What are your commissions for options? Okay, what are your commissions if you're going long the underlying or bonds? This is where you can set this up for the accounts, for the securities or for the futures. Okay, and then that'll be strictly for this account. Okay, if you open another account, maybe you're demoing an account with Options Express or an account with Interactive Brokers, you can title that account that and then go in and actually individually change what the commissions are you're paying for each account there. And OptionVue will model that as you're going forward with your analysis. Okay. This is also important for open positions if you want the valuation of your open positions to include slippage, commissions, and then also if you want those open positions to reflect previously realized gains and losses. I recommend unchecking that to begin with, and you can go in once you're getting more familiar with OptionVue and seeing what these different features are going to do to your modeling. Okay. Another thing in here is the configure trade button. Okay, I have an account with Options Express and I use the configure trade button for my Options Express account. What I would do is it would ask you send trades directly to track data or Options Express. If you have an account, it would then ask you for your Options Express ID and password. And the nice thing about it is um, um, what it does is if I have a position in my trade field in OptionVue and I actually want to do this trade, I would hit the trade button, okay, and it would actually open up my account on Options Express with the order sitting there waiting to go, whether you want to make it a market order or a limit order. It allows you, it takes you to that screen automatically so you can then place that order if you want to. Okay. Let's go ahead and, so that's the info button. That's how you would create the new account. Now let's say that you know, have OptionVue now, or you're on a trial of OptionVue and you want to go and say, hey, I have a position I put on, you know, 2 weeks ago, and I want to go and put that in and see what it looks like using OptionVue's analysis today. Well, what you would do is you would go into NetView at the top here, okay, and then you're going to go into BackTrader. It pulls up this BackTrader window, and you're going to want to keep this BackTrader window until you're done doing, you know, whatever entering a trade that you already have on, or whatever back testing you're doing if you're stepping through days at a time. But let's just go ahead and go back a couple days, and it takes a number of formats. The format I use the most is just slashes 2013. Or stay at the market close. It really doesn't matter when you're going back and just putting a position in that you already have on. Okay, so now the entire OptionVue system thinks that it's Tuesday, January 15th at 3:30. This is going to be 3:30 Chicago time. And if you notice over here, there's an S. Whenever there's an S there, it means you're no longer pulling in real-time data. Your quotes are suspended, whether you're in backtrader mode or you've just suspended them just so you're working basically offline. So right now we're looking at basically the close on Tuesday, January 15th. Okay. Now let's say that I had a position in JP Morgan or Chase, and I actually put this out on January 15th. Let's say I did a, you know, maybe went out in February here and we did a, you know, just some kind of a spread. Doesn't really matter. Hit enter. Okay. I put this trade on. Now I notice I put it in on the trade field. Very important there. Okay. You can put in a plus 10. You really don't have to. You can just put in the number 10, which means you're going long those positions. You will have to put a minus 10 in. Type that in and hit enter or the down arrow, and that's going to show that you're shorting those or selling those. Okay. Now, when I hit the convert trade button, watch what happens. They move over. Okay. Enter them in the trade field, hit convert trades, and they move over to the existing position. Okay. Notice whatever commissions I have set up for this account have now been included in the transaction that I just did. Now, to look at this position, you can now click on the T-log. Okay. These are your account buttons right here. Okay. Info is to create accounts, to change futures or securities commissions on the account. The T-log is now going to show you the transactions that you have going on in this account. Okay. So now you can see that what I did by hitting that convert trade button is I created a transaction log. And now I can go in here, I can change my commissions if I want to. I didn't pay 25, I paid 15. Okay. I want to go back and change my futures commissions later to reflect that. So going forward, I won't have to do this. But then say you actually got filled at, maybe you got filled at, 45 and 22 instead of what it was showing, what OptionVue's half an hour pricing pulled in. Okay, so now I have this position accurately reflecting the commissions and the price I actually got filled at when I executed this position through my broker. I can hit OK. I can close back trader. That's OK. Now I can look at where my position is. Now it's showing me that I have an options position on. That bold O shows I have an option position on in this account, and that's because I actually put that on. I went back in time to reflect what I actually got that trade for. Okay, and it's showing us here. Okay, and now we can track it going forward. Okay, now you're seeing colors in this matrix here. What the colors are representing the standard deviations. I'm doing that by highlighting this S. When you first get OptionVue in a trial, you're not going to see the colors until you depress this S here, and that stands for standard deviation. Okay, you'll see this is the first standard deviation. The next color out is going to be the second, and then you're in the third standard deviation as you go farther out from that. Okay. I kind of jumped into those trades there, but you can kind of see the calls are on top here and the puts are on the bottom. Okay, this little arrow here represents the at the money right now. Okay, MIV is showing you the midpoint implied volatility. It's an average of the bid IV and the ask IV. I showed you where the market price was, how this is calculated. It's a smoothed out average of the bid and the ask. Okay, and then I have the delta here. I just like to have deltas there. You can always change any of these columns on the fly simply by right-clicking on the top of it there. Okay, I right-clicked on delta there, and now I can change it to theta if I want to. Okay, I can always go back to where I was before, and this is very similar. This is going to show me my defaults here. I have an M1, 2, 3. Okay, let's say that I want to have theta here. Okay, what I would do is I would click on this M button and then click on the number 3 button here. Now I've memorized, that M stands for memorize this matrix format and store it as my third default. Okay, I want to go back to my original default with the delta there, so I can click on my number 1. Okay, and you remember I showed you the last bid ask volume open interest that I like to look at. Now I can quickly click on my number 2 default here. It's going to quickly show me all that information for each of the strikes. Okay. Now let's say, for instance, you wanted to, you look at JP Morgan, or you look at and you have maybe different positions in the SPY or the Russell. Maybe you want to have your matrix just for JP Morgan defined separately than you do, or formatted separately than you would anything else. By going to view at the top here, we're setting defaults across the board, but you can actually come in to an options chain and you can format this one specifically for how you want to do JP Morgan or any of the underlying. You can have these so that when you open up a matrix, set up your own default specifically for whatever underlying you want to be looking at, an options chain you want to be looking at for that underlying. Okay. So this legend button right here, okay, we talked about the actuals before. These two, the last and the high, is representing this last here and the high here. Okay, if you wanted to put a trade in, say you were long a certain number of shares back on January 15th, you would then go into back trader. Okay, and we can do this. Go into back trader. Let's go to January 15th again. Hit start. I'm leaving this back trader window open. Okay, and now I can click on this and I can say, let's say I'm long 100 shares of JP Morgan. Okay, it's going to show me what it's like being long those. Still showing me the positions I put on before, but now I can go ahead and convert the trade. Now I'm long those. So it moved them from the trade here down to the existing position. Okay, very similar to I went, put the trade in here, hit convert trade, and move them over. And I can click on my T-log to verify that they're there. I did buy them. I didn't get them at 46.02. You can change it if you want to. You can change what and put in the commission amount if you want to as well. Okay. Another important thing in here is if you were, if you wanted to link, if you can notice here, OptionVue is linking these trades together with a what we call a recon symbol. Okay. Say you were doing a butterfly in a or a condo or anything like that, you'd want to make sure you have the same symbol here, and you can that symbol you could do letters. Okay. If you wanted this to be linked together with this one, you could do that, but I don't want to. You know, you can make it a B there. And the reason for that is because going forward, it's going to track whatever position spread you have linked with these recon letters. It's going to link those together and recognize those and track um, the status of those, you know, whether it's a gain or a loss right now. And then it's also going to create some really nice reports down the road for you, especially if you're back testing or just want to be able to go back and see how your strategy and your trading's been doing. Okay. Now by doing this, okay, I'm going to go ahead and hit OK out of here. And I'm going to go into close this again. I'm going to go into back into real time, pull in random quotes again. Now I can click on the status button here. And what the status is going to do is now you can see that those two trades together are linked together because they're in the same recon letter in the T log here. They had the letter A. It's separating the long underline because I had a different symbol there. If I wanted to link them together, I could do that by changing the same, by changing this to an A, and it would look at them together. Okay. Nice thing about doing things separate like this, if you do have separate spreads on and different trades on, by setting them up with different recon letters, is that I can now right click on this and I can set an alert for this particular position if I want to. Okay, I can say, okay, this is my position, and just for this position, I want to set up an objective gain of, you know, 18%. Okay, and I would go to action then. It will display a message. If I have OptionVue open, it can send me an email. It can make a sound if you want. Okay. You're going to want to make sure you have the status window open all the time. That's kind of what I like to tell people. And basically what that does is keeping track of your portfolio here. This is going to tell you the status of the entire account. Remember when we started the account, we put 15,000 into it back on 2006. Well, we didn't do anything with that 15,000 until, you know, 2 weeks ago. And now, since we have these position on, it's going to show us our positions, our buying power, okay, our portfolio beta R2, our existing portfolio theta. Okay, and it allows you to isolate these trades if you want to. Okay, like I said, I put an alert on specifically this trade. Now I could go into my matrix again here, and I see my positions on here. Okay, and what I can do is I can do an analysis. I want to analyze this. Okay, and now it's analyzing it for me graphically. Okay, we haven't even gone to the graph yet, but here we go. By setting that alert, it created this green line going across here. I now have, you know, it does hit this, I'm going to get an email, but we're looking at the T+0 line. Okay, this is the dotted line right here. Okay, T+0 or today. I have the dates chosen. I told you you can go to File and Preference to change if you want to have T+0 or actual dates in there. Okay, these are representing your timelines, your risk lines for a particular date. Okay, you can always right click in here to change those dates if you want to. And then you can go up to 3 different timelines if you want to. Okay, so I've isolated this trade is what I've done so that I'm not looking at the long underline that I have going on. I'm just looking at the spread I have going on. Okay, based on today, T+0 or January 31st, this would be my break-even line right here. Okay, 47.70 or 1% away from where the underline's at right now. Okay, the black dot is going to give you an idea where you're really at, and the reason this black dot is here is because I'll show you this. Going back here, My commissions are $30. Okay, and I didn't do a credit, I did a debit here, so that's why as well. So, but commissions are going to be looking at the black dot. The black dot is going to reflect what's going on here in this summary screen. Okay, so I'm going to go back to Analyze. Analyze takes me to the graph. Okay, and now I can click on these different lines. So if nothing, the underline does not move in a positive way, this isn't going to be, of course, a profitable position. Now across the bottom down here, you're going to see for each particular price I have here, for 48.75, if the underline moves there, I'm going to have a profit, a P&L of 280, and it does list your Greeks down at the bottom down here as well. Okay. Now I can also, this is a wand. You can left click on this wand down here and you can drag it and move it. It's going to show you where you're going to be at any particular underlying price for the timeline we have selected. Okay, let me look at February 12th. I'm clicking on a February 12th date here, and you can see there's a little asterisk here next to this line, and the line will be highlighted so that now you know that you're looking at data for this line. Okay, so now you can drag this around and it's going to show you for that timeline, February 12th, this is where, if the underline is wherever I'm moving it to, this is where my P&L is going to be and where my Greeks are going to be as well. Okay, and you can actually click on the lines themselves. You notice the break even is going to shift around a little bit as I do that. You even click on the expiration line if you want to. Okay, what's this black line is doing here is I have a target set up. Okay, that's representing a target. So let's see what my target is here. And it looks like I must have had a target set up from maybe a trade finder or a price chart target I did before. I don't want that target there. I can just clear that out and hit OK, and it gets rid of the target. Maybe you want to see some probability of profits. Instead of hitting a target, you can click on where it says target result here, and it'll pull up a bell curve results for you here. Okay, and by doing that, now you're seeing these standard deviation lines down at the bottom here. Okay, the kind of purplish color represents the first standard deviation, and remember the standard deviation is based on the expiration line that we're highlighted on. The turquoise is going to represent the second. Okay, let's click on February 8th up here, and you're going to see that the standard deviation indicators down here have shrunk. Okay, and basically that's where our probability of profit is going to be coming from when you're looking at this position and you have current bell curve results. Okay, you'll notice that this highlighted line here, which is this February 8th line, okay, is you can see where it's coming into play for the standard deviation, how most of it is going to be way above, way to the right of this bell curve we have going on down here. Okay. You can change the interval on the graph anytime you want to by right-clicking anywhere in the graph. You can center the price. You can make the intervals whatever you want them to be as well. Okay. We also have a feature down here, all the way down on the right, where it's showing your Greeks down here. If you want to see a little bit of a graphical representation of them, you can click on this dotted button above the D down here. Okay. This details button here is going to give you very specific details about what the graph is showing here. Okay. Right now, we're looking at February 8th because we have that highlighted here. We're looking at an underlying price of 47.06, which is basically where we froze it when I suspended the, actually didn't suspend the course, but when I pulled the graph up, that's where the underlying was at then. We're looking at the volatility of where it's at right now, showing your position in the calls. At price is what OptionVue is modeling what you got filled at. Okay. We have theoretical prices at closing for February, remember, and it's showing you total daily time effect And you can change these parameters too. Let's say I want to change this to 50. Okay, it's going to change some of the numbers down here for you. Okay, it's going to be a great return if that happens. We can change the date as well. You can change the volatility as well. Okay, that's going to change all these factors that are coming into here, and you can do that by coming into the details button down here. The D just has a D on it. Okay. Now I can close this, and let's say I wanted to put another potential trade on here. Let's just put something in down here. Actually, I'm doing this wrong because you don't want to ever put anything in the existing position field. I want to put it in the trade field. Okay, so by doing that now, I put something in the trade field. Now I can look at this trade by itself if I want to by simply clicking on this T button. Okay, T stands for trade. Okay, existing, watch it change to existing. Existing stands for this position I have on at the top there in the calls. Okay, and this is showing you both the existing and the trade. So if I want to just look at them, and you can look at them both together, it shows the same thing. But this way you can see the existing, you can see the trade down here. But the important thing is here, let's say I want to look at the trade, and I want to look at this by itself, what it's going to look like in a graph. Okay, let's say I want to look at just the existing position by itself. Okay, say I want to look at them both together. I hit this B button here and I can analyze it, and you can see what it's going to look like with these together. Okay, and then it saves up to 5 of them for you, so you can go back and see what you were looking at before. Okay, okay, so let's say I wanted to clear that trade. I didn't like that trade. Okay, let's say I wanted to go into and possibly do, and this is kind of neat here. I want to look at putting a trade on over here in March a little further out. Okay. And let's say I wanted to analyze just this by itself, um, and I had it in the existing position field. You can highlight these months to isolate things as well. Say you had a couple spreads going out here, and you want to isolate them. I don't even have to click on both here for this. I can just simply click on the March heading here and click Analyze. It's just going to look at that for me. Okay. I want to click on the February and just look at that. Okay. Now I can go back and see the one I just looked at. And now if I want to, I can superimpose the two over each other. So let's say I hadn't put that first one on in the February, and I was considering doing a March or a February um, spread here. I could superimpose the two over each other and really break it down and say, hey, this one's going to be giving me, a better risk reward profile than the other one. Going down to perhaps 2 lines is going to be able to show you, and you can also click on the positions up here, um, or the actual lines themselves too, to look at each one individually. And there'll be different colors that will differentiate the two from each other. Okay, let's say I wanted to clear my graphs out. You can always just hit these X buttons to clear out your graphs if you want to. Okay, over here you can always uncheck your stop if you don't want it to be showing up. You can uncheck your break even if you don't want that to be showing as well. Okay, and then you can also change profit loss across the bottom and on the left side of the graph here to change that to yield if you want to change it to yield. Okay. Um, you can always change the intervals, also kind of zoom in and zoom out. You'll see the left and right arrow kind of here. I just basically left click, and I'm going to move, drag to the left, and it's just going to drag these, uh, basically zooming in and zooming out. A different way to zoom in and zoom out if you want to, instead of changing the interval manually. Okay. Of course, these buttons will do the same here, and then you can move the graph to the left or the right if you want to. by doing that. Okay. You can also change the volatility here and see what's going to happen if the volatility increases by 5%. Watch my lines. Okay. If it's going to decrease. Okay. It's definitely going to have a change on your risk profile graph, and you can manipulate volatility changes here by doing that. Okay. I'm pulling up on 45 minutes here, which I wanted to go. One more thing I'll show you here, and then I'll see what kind of questions I have. I'm sorry I haven't been able to see the chat when I'm doing this presentation. I'll jump over there in a second and see what questions I have. But what you're going to want to do here is you're going to want to do, in order to do this side-by-side analysis, is we're going to restore down. Okay, we're going to restore down your matrix. Make sure it's not taking up the whole entire OptionVue background screen here. So we restore down, and then what we're going to do, we're still highlighted on this February, we're going to hit this button here. Okay, this means open analysis and automatic update mode. Okay, and then you can resize it to what you want. This is nice because now you can, if you're back testing, you can step through time this way, and the graph will change as you're stepping through time in back trader mode. You can make adjustments, add positions, and watch it change as you do these different things. Okay, it's still showing our existing and showing you the modification that you're doing there. Okay, so it's kind of nice that you'll be able to see these changes as you step through time in back trader mode, or if you're gonna shrink down your position, or maybe you're even gonna go and make it a different position out of something you have on. Okay, you can always go here and clear what you were looking at. Okay, so that's what I want to show you. That's called side-by-side graphic analysis, open analysis, automatic update mode. So that's automatically updating for you. You don't have to switch between the matrix to the graphic analysis and back again. Okay, but you can, it's this button right here next to the print button. Okay, so I'm going to close that, and I'm going to go back here and see what kind of questions anybody's got for me. Carl, someone's asking me about the best monitor size for OptionVue. I don't really have a answer for that one. If you want to send me an email at james.hogan@optionvue.com, I will find out for you. I know we have a lot of people out that are always, a lot of traders, of course, are using multiple monitors and things like that, but I haven't really come across an ideal one. Any other questions? Anybody else want me to look at anything further? I know I jump around a lot and go into all the different customized settings and things like that. There will be a recording for this, and if you registered for this and attended, you'll get the recording. Might be a little bit better for you to be able to go and pause the presentation and go into OptionVue and test these things out for yourself. Okay. So if there's no more questions, let me go back to my little slide here. You can email me. It's james.hogan@optionvue.com. You can reach us at 800-733-6610. Ask any questions you want here. And then there'll be another one of these OptionVue Essentials next week with Karen. All right. Thanks, you all. Take care.